Hello YouTube, Nathan Dewey here doing another interview, this time with the founders of Blade Runner Systems, Edward Anthonis and Lawrence Ho. Gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yes sir, yep.
Alright, I have a series of questions and you will do your best to answer them. First of all, how much effort goes into a production run? You just finished the Alpha Beast, now you're working on this new project. How much effort does it take?
Can we swear in this?
I'm sorry?
Can we swear in this?
Oh yeah, go ahead, yeah.
A shit ton. A lot. A lot of effort. A lot of conjoined effort too, because you have to, I mean, even though we're really only parsing this stuff out to a small group of people, it really kind of falls on Lawrence and myself to make sure that a lot of the project orientation gets resolved in the time frames that we're looking to do, that, you know, we're choosing projects that we're really not in a position to make a lot of mistakes. You know, if you really get clipped real early in this business, if you're not treating people well, you're not, you know, creating good relationships, and we have some really strong relationships with some really great manufacturers, and also, you know, people at the JD and other websites and stuff. So yeah, it takes a lot of effort to manage those relationships as well as the projects. So yeah, it takes a tremendous amount of effort. I wouldn't say that this is something for the week. You really have to be very committed.
I think there's a lot of stuff that people don't see. Well, like, you can't see, you know, because it's all behind the scenes. People, they wait, and then eventually, if we do a good job, then it shows up on a website somewhere, like Blade HQ. But while people are waiting, you know, we're not just waiting as well. We're doing things and trying to make things happen, and it's nothing that we probably ever could have prepared for, and definitely nothing we ever got trained on. So it's kind of was kind of trial by fire, and it's very challenging and very rewarding at the same time. But it certainly is a lot of work. So it's a lot of work.
What was the beginning of that process, if you can, like, even to start, like a starting point? Like, what was, like, the first step you had to do?
You have to be, I mean, if you're doing it by yourself, then, I mean, the beginning of the process is just vetting out your idea or your project. When you're working with someone else, it's about how do you know, how to have a shared vision about what you want to do. You know, Lawrence and I were friends from flipping butterfly knives, and so it was easy, you know, in a way to migrate to switching from just making video projects, let's just say, about, you know, flipping to starting to think about how can we utilize our individual strengths on a more conjoined effort. You know, like, I might help by making, you know, certain relationships with manufacturers or with materials people to try and, you know, bring stuff in. Lawrence may contribute in the project by, you know, helping with media or helping produce imagery or just CAD design. I mean, at the end of the day, getting something like that started, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, I don't think it's for everybody. I mean, you really have to be really motivated and really persistent.
I think the number one thing is vision. The vision that you have, the idea that you have, has to be so ingrained in your head, because when you're doing all this work, it's very easy to kind of lose sight of what you're doing, because there's so many different variables, and it's very dynamic, and it proposes a lot of challenges. So if you don't have a vision for what you want to be and what you're trying to do, and if that vision is not strong and it gets cloudy, then you could lose focus and fall off track very easily trying to do this on I mean, not even on a production level. I'm sure a custom maker goes through this too, but when you are trying to do it on a production level and in a large scale, I think it really does begin with vision. I think Ed and I, from the very beginning, we knew exactly what we wanted to do and where we wanted to go. And at the Alpha Beast, we had a extremely strong idea of how that knife was going to come out, and that never really changed. So that's really where it begins. You know exactly what you want, and you don't lose sight of it. You hold on to that very tightly. So for me, I think that's
running ideas off him as an actual maker. You know, Lawrence and I don't pretend to be knife makers. I think that's, you know, it would almost be somewhat insulting. You know, I have not sat down and spent the time grinding away like Matt has, like some of these other makers have. And so being able to identify where and what you're trying to do, you can forward a process to someone who is a content expert. If you can make a good relationship with someone that you can trust to perform those actions, help you complete your vision, you can get buy-in and again, have a fully vetted process. That's where it begins for sure. So it definitely does. I would agree with Lawrence, begin with a vision. Being able to sell that vision sometimes to someone else is also really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's a very detailed answer. We're going to take a break and start with part 2.